Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Have you ever finished a painting and thought, something feels off, but I can't tell what? The colours might be all right individually, but together they just don't sing. That's the power and mystery of colour harmony. In this video, we're going to unpack how master painters make their colours work together effortlessly, and how you can bring that same magic into your own oil paintings. I will be using this recent dog commission to illustrate my points. So let's get into the video. Number 1, why colour harmony matters. Colour harmony is the sense that all colours in a painting belong together and relate to others, contributing to a unified painting. Harmonious colour relationships help guide the viewer's eye across the painting and create a natural flow. When the colours work together, the painting feels balanced, complete and emotionally resonant. Harmony doesn't mean blandness. Balanced colours don't mean every tone is neutral or muted. True harmony allows for contrast, light versus dark, warm versus cool, or saturated versus muted, while still maintaining a sense of cohesion. In the reference photo of this painting, my dog was sat on a mid-value cool grey carpet. If I had painted what I saw, I would have got a very disjointed painting, there being no relationship between my dog and its background. So I needed to change it, but how did I decide what to do? Number 2, understanding colour relationships. The colour wheel is an important tool for understanding colour relationships. We have our primary colours, red, yellow and blue, our secondary colours, green, orange and purple, and tertiary colours, a combination of mixing primary and secondary colours together, for example, red, orange, yellow, green, etc. Using the colour wheel, we can explore harmonious combinations like complementary colours, analogous colours and triadic colours. Complementary colours are opposite each other, so red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple. I use complementary colours all the time and have used them in this painting where I have based my colour harmonies around red and green. Although being opposite each other, they will create visual contrast and can still give a painting a feeling of balance when used thoughtfully. Analogous colours are next to each other and produce smooth transitions. How would you use these? You could be very literal with your painting and just use a run of analogous colours side by side, or you could use them as bridging colours. So for example, if I had an orange shape next to a green shape, I could run a small amount of yellow in between them to give a natural transition. I also use this trick a lot in my paintings. For example, blue-green, yellow-green, blue-green, blue-violet, violet, blue-violet. Lastly, triadic colours are 3 colours equally spaced on the colour wheel, forming an equilateral triangle. For example, red, yellow and blue, or orange, green and purple. This colour scheme creates vibrant, high-contrast palettes that are both balanced and lively. So when I change my background, as I have done here, I always bear these colour rules in mind. Number 3, the role of temperature and value and how they help harmony. Getting your values and temperatures correct is critical for a successful painting. In order of hierarchy, value is more important. Value means how light or dark is it. Remember, every colour has a value, so my blue has a darker value to my yellow. When I'm deciding on how to change my backgrounds, the value I see in my reference photo will help guide me. Ideally, you need a range of values in a painting, but you can manipulate them to create some great visual effects. Here I was very conscious of my dog feeling like a blob in its surroundings, but at the same time I needed to create a bit of contrast. I used symmetry to help me. Up here I have black against white. Down here I have repeated the same contrast. To avoid the head looking too blobby, I've lightened this value. But my overall value is very similar to my chest area. The similarity in mid-tone value creates harmony whilst forcing my eye to the 2 areas of maximum contrast, here and then here, so I'm guiding your eye around this painting. A balanced painting will have a range of warm and cool temperatures. Red is our warmest colour on the colour wheel and blue is our coolest. As we move around the wheel both ways, the colours become cooler until they get to blue. Remember, white is also cool and will cool down any mix you add to it. This is why I like working with complementary colours, because you always have a cool and you always have a warm, and it ticks the harmony box too, as discussed earlier. So here my red is my warm and green is my cool. Bear in mind though that green is a transitionary colour, so it can be both warm and cool. Notice how I always place a warm next to a cool, moving across the painting, warm, cool, warm, cool, warm, cool. This transition creates harmony and ensures my painting is successful. Number 4, limited palettes and how they help harmony. Limiting your palette will encourage natural unity across the painting and help you understand colour relationships. If you find mixing hard, try limiting your palette to just 4 colours. I would recommend yellow ochre, cadmium red, either ivory black or ultramarine deep, and white. I did this myself for a very long time, and once I felt I understood this limited palette, I began to add more colours. Number 5, mixing colours for unity. Let's have a look at my palette for this painting. I have used cadmium yellow light, yellow ochre light, transparent yellow oxide, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, transparent red oxide, ultramarine deep, and titanium zinc white. Let me show you how I've mixed these colours together for this painting. I am mixing my black from colour. I am using a couple of different mixes. I'm using a red and a green. The red is a mix of trans red oxide, alizarin crimson and ultramarine deep. The green is a mix of ultramarine deep and trans yellow oxide. This gives me my warm and cool. If I mix them together, I can work with either a warm black or a cool black. That's my first black mix. If I need to lighten it, I can either use white, but this will automatically give me a cool mix, or I can use yellow and keep it warmer. Adding cadmium yellow light will lighten my black without knocking out too much of the colour, and is a really good way to give me a different hue of black. I've used this across the back and in this part of the eyes. For my midtones, I've used a combination of different greens and reds. I have this combination where I've used cadmium red plus ultramarine deep, and also yellow ochre light and ultramarine deep. I also have this second combination of this green plus this orange red, mixed from yellow ochre light and cadmium red. If I want to push my green to more of a yellow green, as I have done here, I can add more yellow ochre light plus trans yellow oxide. But I've also added some red into this background green as well, and I've added even more red into my dog's chest area. Because I've mixed a little of everything into all my colours, I end up with a very harmonious painting, and I'm able to really push the saturation of my colours in some areas and keep them quite muted in others. Understanding your palette is key in order to be able to achieve this. Colour harmony is what transforms a painting from a collection of shapes and hues into a cohesive painting. By understanding colour relationships, paying attention to value and temperature, and thoughtfully mixing your palette, you give every element in your painting a sense of connection. Harmony doesn't mean everything has to be muted or safe. It's about creating relationships between colours that guide the eye, evoke emotion, and bring your subject to life. In this painting, you've seen how deliberate choices, from complementary reds and greens to carefully mixed midtones and blacks, can create a unified, visually engaging composition. The key takeaway is that creating harmony requires observation, experimentation, and knowing how to make your colours work together so the painting feels complete. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and see you next week.